Saddle up your horses. Started out this morning in the usual way.
Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and I have a guest joining me. Let's see if it invited her. Okay. It has. Okay, let me see how this works. Hold on, Heather. I'm doing it. Oh, no. Wrong person. There we go. This can get interesting trying to get somebody added on. Heather is joining us. It's trying to add you, Heather. Good morning. Good morning, Taylor. There she is.
Yay!
Good morning.
Hey!
Yes. I almost invited the wrong person. It scrolled up and I almost invited somebody else accidentally.
Well, we just could have had a party.
I know. I don't know if you can do more than one at a time. I think you have to do them one at a time, but I hope they get it advanced so we can do like a 4-screen kind of deal. Good morning, Shaylee.
That would be fun. Hey, Pam, how's it going? That's cool.
Well, this is the Kickin' It Jive style show, and so what I do is I record it live on here, and then I go in and edit it and do all that fun stuff and put it up on YouTube. So it'll be fun. So, it's pretty there. What's your flowers behind you? I like those.
Oh, aren't they pretty? At $3.99 special.
I like specials. Well, for those of you that are watching, this is Heather, and she is joining from Texas. I don't know exactly where you're at in Texas.
It's in Millsap. Well, it used to be population 500, but I have no clue now. It's still small.
502, maybe?
Yeah, when we moved here. Yeah.
Right. So I know that you have horses and probably cattle and everything out there because I've seen some of your posts. So you probably get to get up and do all the feeding and all that.
Yeah, we have about 20 head of show cattle, and we have 4 horses, and it takes about an hour and a half morning and evening just to feed them all. But it's worth it. I love it. I love the life here.
Oh, absolutely. So her full name, if you want to follow her on Facebook, your music page, is it under Heather Thomas Van Deren or just Heather Van Deren?
It's just, I have 2 Facebook pages. I have Heather Van Deren, which is my ministry page, and then Heather Hare Thomas Van Deren. Golly, could you hear that bird?
I can. Sounds beautiful.
He is so loud. But my farm Facebook page is Heather Hare Thomas Van Deren. Really, it's a long one. So the long one is my farm page.
Okay. Well, I met Heather, let's see, 2015 and I do not remember the name of that cafe. I know it has a cutting horse on the front of the menu. But you and Bill were in there and you were having lunch or whatever. I was there with my friend Robin, and I had just gotten a little place there in Mineral Wells. And you guys were talking, and I love to be in a restaurant, and when I hear people talking about the Lord, I kind of eavesdrop. I don't mean to, but it just triggers my ears. And so I heard you all talking about God and singing and whatever, and so we were getting ready to walk out, and I stopped and introduced myself to you at the table. And so
that was at the Switch, wasn't it? And Cool?
Yeah.
It was at the Switch and Cool?
Yes, the Switch, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's when you told me about the Spring Fling at Countryside and invited Carol to come and sing. And so that's how we got connected. So it's pretty neat because, there's never a coincidence in the Lord,
No, there's not. And the rest is history. I got a bud now.
Right, you do. I got to see you, it's 2 months ago Sand Springs?
Yeah, that was at Sand Springs, Oklahoma at 5 West Outpost. Heaven's Country Radio was having a get-together party for all the artists with Marty Smith and Red Polston of Halo Jordan. And you drove, I don't know how many hours, but you drove a few hours to come be with me. And I really thank you
Close
for that.
to you, but not as far as you had to drive.
Well, that's
But it was
okay. You
fun.
came, and that was a
Yeah,
blessing. Yeah.
it was a great encouragement for me because of me coming back to Oklahoma. I've been kind of out of that, world for a little bit, and so it inspired and helped me to be there. So, but
I
it
am
was a
so
fun night.
glad that, yeah, I'm glad you're back doing what you're doing, kicking it Java style with Cassie. Hey, it's hot out here this morning, but I got my iced coffee.
Ah,
I'm
there you go.
ready.
And I went over and left mine over at the deal, so it's probably ice cold
Oh
by now
no.
at my little house. But I was looking at your website and I saw that your song is that "Come to the Table" is charting up there pretty high. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Is that
I
not
love
awesome? It's number 10. Yeah. Top 10
that.
out of 100. Yeah. That's a blessing because I wrote that song like 20 years ago. And
Oh
I
wow.
never, yeah, I took it to my producer when I made my Just in Time album, and I said, this is a really good worship song, and I know we're doing Christian country, but I think you can make this song Christian country and reach the people that listen to that style of music. And I was sitting at the piano worshiping the Lord when I wrote that song. So I'm hoping other people are able to worship through it too.
It's very
Obviously,
beautiful.
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I love the guitar in it. I don't know my types of guitar, but whatever kind of guitar that is, I love that with it. That definitely helps
Yeah.
it be country worship. It just gave it a really good.
That's Brian Kelly, and let me tell you something. All of the musicians that I had working in the studio with me, they are professionals through and through, and they are all top notch. And they have played for some really big artists that have labels, and I was just like, I couldn't believe that they were taking the time to come in and do this for me. So it's a top-notch project. I'm really proud of it.
It's very good. I love it. One of my favorite songs. Good morning. One of my favorite songs that you do is the "Hey You." Is it "Hey You"
Oh,
the where you do
hey,
the video? Yeah. Hey. I just love it.
hey.
It's so fun.
Yeah, that's a fun song. That's on my Heart His Love album. That's the one that I came out with in 2014. And Karen Peck and New River made that song popular, but we don't do it the same. So,
Right.
yeah,
That's probably the
it's
first one I played on my program when I was doing the radio program. I really
yeah.
love it. And
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know who does your videos, but they're amazing. I love the one, I posted it this morning, but you're standing, I don't know what that is, that rock cathedral thing behind you in your video where you're talking about, praising him in the morning. It's the praise.
Uh,
Uh, I
that's
let
the
my
song.
notes are in my phone, so I'm struggling because I
Hey, you're doing
forgot.
great.
I know. I'm
If
like,
you
okay, what's the
just
name of that song? But you know what? The video
hi
that
Dale, how's
I
it
love that.
going? Yeah, hi Dale, Jantina, good morning. Jantina joined us. She's in the Netherlands.
Oh wow! So we're
That's really
global.
cool. But the song that you're talking about is Praise Him. That was written by my friend Rick Pope. And the place that we recorded that video, it's called Capernaum Village, and it's a movie set modeled after Capernaum Village back in Jesus's day. So yeah, they do all kinds of
Beautiful.
Christian movies there, and I was really blessed to get on that set for that video.
I
It
loved
was
it. I watched that
yeah,
this morning again, and I was like, I just love this one. I love the whole setting of it. But you're
yeah, the
doing so
color.
much. I've seen you on TV programs. I've seen you on radio interviews, and there's been so much going on this year. I just realized in the last couple of days that you have your own video TV interview thing going, and so I was like, how did I miss this? But I love it. I went through and watched some of them, and I love it. So tell us about that and how you got started with your TV HTV program.
Yeah, well, it's called What Love Means. And hey, Dennis, how's it going? It's called What Love Means, and God started this program. It wasn't me, it was God. There was a man named John that was helping us here on the farm, and he started getting on my website and reading my blogs, and I have several blogs about giving your testimony. And he came to me one day and said, I think I'm supposed to give my testimony, but I'm not sure how to do it. And so I said, well, okay, how about if we just do it interview style? I can help you. I'll ask you the questions. It'll be a comfortable environment. And then we'll just put it on my YouTube channel. And so we did. And then other
That's
people started coming forward, and we're working next week on episode 8.
so exciting.
Yeah.
I love doing this kind of stuff, and it doesn't have to be so stuffy or professional. And I saw that, the first one you did with him on the porch, and
Yeah.
that's my heart, my style. Make it so comfortable that people think they're just sitting down to really just have a cup of coffee with you and forget about the video camera, So
Yeah.
I love it. You're doing
Yeah.
great, but
Oh, thank you. I don't know. We just doing it. There's no
right
real plan. We
when
just
I first
go and
started,
do.
I was avoiding that. Like, I kept feeling like I was supposed to do videos, and I kept doing the radio audio, and I was like, no. But I finally just got out there. I was like, you know what? If my hair's like today, my hair, and I went around and around. Well, I'm getting ready to go clean 2 houses. I was like, I'm not restarting this hairdo. We're just rocking what I've got this morning.
Hey, you look
But,
great.
it's not.
You look great.
Well, thank you. So, what does your shirt say? What's your
Oh,
shirt say?
y'all. It says y'all need Jesus.
Mine says kicking it Java style, but I would like to know about your foundation, like how you come to know the Lord, and how you got started singing Christian country and inspirational country music.
Well, I've been a uh, performance ham since I was a little kid, and I don't like to use that word performance
Right.
because that doesn't even apply to me anymore. But when you're little and you want attention and you want everybody to see what you're doing, and so I've always had that gift. And I started piano lessons when I was 7. I've just always been musical. My family was musical. They didn't go out and sing anywhere, but they had the musical talent. And you know, it's funny because you don't always know what God's going to do with you till later on in life, and that's how it happened with me. I left home when I was 15 years old. I was a rebel, and I never went back. And I made it really tough on myself because I'm the first one to admit that it was self-induced. you know, Sometimes you feel like a victim, but a lot of it is because you're stubborn, you're hard-headed, and you think you know more than everybody else. And I was a rebel. But God took me. I went through some bad things. I mean, the drugs and the alcohol and smoking the pot and just you name it, being promiscuous and uh, just doing everything I wasn't supposed to do. But back here, I always knew this was not what I was supposed to be doing, and that this was not what my life was supposed to be. And so I checked myself into a drug rehab program, and I rode my horse to this drug rehab program
Wow.
every day. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. And I believe with all my heart, I don't have a date or a time exactly, but I believe that that was when I made the decision to allow Jesus into my heart. And it's been a journey since then. And when I was a young mother, I became very active in the church, and I was church pianist, and I was teaching Sunday school and children's choir and VBS and fall festival and all of that stuff. And then I began singing with a ladies trio called Rejoice. That went on for 8 years. Then I started singing with Hearts to Him for 10 years. We've got 2 albums out. And then in 2008, Hearts to Him went on sabbatical. And so I went solo and I met my producer and I stepped out in faith and stepped it up a notch because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And God's still using me, so I guess he's not through yet.
I about got choked up with your testimony of riding that horse and the dedication because, I mean, there's people that they wouldn't do that. I mean, they get, driven in a limo and put in the places and paid for, and they won't stick to it. But you, as a young person, made this decision on your own with really no support. Maybe you would have had it if you told, but you did that with just you and God. And wow, that's
Yeah.
so inspiring.
Well, I'm hard-headed and I'm very strong-willed. And so all these years, what God, or what the devil meant for good, God took what the devil, well, you know what I'm trying to say. What the
Right.
devil meant for bad, God took for good, and he's still using my strong will, but now we're using it for him and to do the right things.
Right. And that's what people need to realize is sometimes those strong traits, they think that when they get saved, they're supposed to just not be that person at all, but it's just letting God use them for, because I'm trying to learn that, because I'm a pretty hard-headed, strong-willed person and can be, like a bulldog. And so letting God use that for him, and that's just all we have to do is those things that the enemy was using to run us ragged and do all this junk for him. God just want to use the same talents and the same strengths, so.
Right.
But one of the questions I was going
Yeah.
to ask you is if you wrote your own music, and I know you do covers, but you said a while ago you wrote that, song that come to the table. And so how many of your other songs have you written? Have you written a lot of those, or is this
On the Just in Time album, I think I've written 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, I got it right here.
Yes.
I'm prepared too. I'm also type A personality. I'm always prepared. Let's see. 1. I wrote Come to the Table, The Cowboy Church, Glad Reunion, and Mother's Pray. So on this album, there's only 4.
Well, that's just amazing to be able to write from your heart and then to be able to sing them. Some people write and they send them off for other people to sing, and then there's other people, that sing that needs the songs. But to be able to do both, that is just really neat because you're, to me, like Carol, I call her Mama Joe. I would love to sing, but that's not my greatest gift. But she's told me if you don't feel it, it's not your song. And so you're feeling it when you've written that song. It's came from somewhere really deep within, and it's just such an amazing talent, and I admire it. And writing and singing is, it's a way that touches people that are just our talking and our words could never touch. And I love what you're doing.
Well, you're so sweet. But that's why writers write. Is they feel the need to express what's on their heart. And just like in Ecclesiastes, the word says there's nothing new under the sun, nothing. And that's true. So you write a song and you think it's coming from your heart, but there's always going to be somebody else out there that feels that exact same way and needs to hear those words. Maybe they're not a songwriter. Maybe they're just a music listener. So you can take that and give it as a gift, and then they receive it. And there's always somebody else like you going through what you're doing.
I'm saying this. Thank you. I don't know if I'm saying this name right. Gentina says she loves your song Mother's Prayer. I do too. That's one of my favorites.
It's Mother's Pray for the Children. That's Jantina. Hi, Jantina. I love you. Yes, I wrote that one too. That was actually about a girlfriend of mine that left home at a young age like I did, and she married a man that her mother was opposed to, and she she endured, and I say endured, she endured that marriage for many years, had a couple of children, and her mother never kept praying, never quit praying. And, you know, now she's in the ministry and she's singing, writing songs, and she's partnering with a really godly man that is also a musician. They're up in Branson, Missouri right now, living for the Lord. So, you know, mothers never stop praying for your children, because God
Absolutely.
always answers prayer.
Yeah. Sometimes we think, you know, if it's not in our time, but if we don't give up, it's going to happen, you know. Oh, thank you.
It,
I'm glad I said it right. uh,
hey,
what is
Gunner,
your
how's it going? My buddy Gunner's on. He's a
Hi Gunner?
sweetheart.
What is your favorite song that you've ever recorded?
Oh my goodness gracious. That I've ever recorded. I have no clue, girlfriend.
You like them all, right?
Well, I mean, the reason I say that is because you don't just record any old song. It has to
Right.
mean something to you to begin with. And like Mama Joe says, if you're not feeling it, it's not for you.
Right.
So I pour everything into every song I record, whether I've written it or someone else has written it. I will tell you the song on My Heart, His Love album called She Loved. That was one that was previously recorded by Jeff and Sherry Easter. And when I listened to my project for the very first time, when we were getting ready to just wrap it up and call it good, I sat down and listened to all of those songs, and She Loved was the very last one. And I remember sitting, it makes me want to cry now. I remember sitting at the kitchen table and just bawling. You know, because that song is my heart cry, and that's why I sang it. You know, that's what I want to be remembered by. I'm not perfect, and you know, I have broken relationships just like everybody else, but we do our best to just love, and that's what I want to be known for, is someone that loves.
Yes. That's the most powerful thing we can do. And since I've been back to Oklahoma, I mean, I've always been on the journey of love, but it's been really intense since I've been back here and realizing that that really is what the greatest calling we have is to love. You know, because we all mess
Yeah.
up and we have to give that grace and love. I mean, why would anybody want to be part of our family if we can't, you know, if we're not walking in love and we're not showing that, and that's not the legacy we're leaving. It's not very inviting, you know. So, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, and that's what we're called to do. It's a commandment. This
Yes.
is my commandment, that ye love one another.
Yes.
And God is love. And so if we can't model our lives after him, then we've got a real problem, because
I
he is
agree.
our role model. Yeah.
You know, to me, I know people can be watching this and they might have seen us, you know, be snippy, getting ready to go out and go sing, or getting ready to, I know I've hosted conferences. We might get intense or get snippy, or they see us make a mistake somewhere and they think, oh, well, we're not loving. And to me, um, the greatest thing I know is that to be real is the greatest way to show love. To just say, you know, we mess up, we get grouchy, we have bad days, you know, and I know you do. I know right now you're going through some things with your husband. You know, you're human. It's not easy doing what you do and try to run a ranch and be there for your husband who's going through some physical things. And so, you know, we're not perfect, but we can just keep coming back and say, you know, we had this bad day. We're sorry, you know, or whatever. And that's what I find for me is, no, I can't show perfect love, but I can show you his perfect love, you know. And so
There you,
I just encourage you to keep going strong with what you're doing, because I see it. I see the joy and the fun, and you know, it's just you just have a bubbly personality. But I know you go through things. I mean, I can't even imagine, you know. And I hope and pray that Bill's getting stronger, and I know you're praying for him. So there's just so much, you know. I love, you know, watching you up there. I was watching another one of your videos. I don't know what the guy's name. He walked you out on the stage and you had the yellow shirt and you had the pants that were all fun. And I just watching you, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my goodness, such joy. There's like when I see you, there's such a like a glow, a joy on you. And when you went out there on that stage, I was like, how fun is that? I mean, you're bubbly and you don't, you're just coming out with your bright colors but you were shining for God, not just your clothes. And I love it that
Yeah.
you're not afraid to be you. You're not afraid to show your personality. So
Well, it's kind of hard to be somebody else when
it is. It's tiring to try to be someone else.
yeah,
One of the songs,
definitely.
I was trying to see if I can see. Dennis mentioned 4 Days Late.
Yeah, Dennis likes that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I originally did that song with the studio track, and it was such a good song for me that I took it into the studio and actually did it with live musicians. And that one's on my Just in Time album. That one's got a fantastic message, especially when with impatient people like me, and I know I'm
Right.
not alone.
Right. Right.
Sometimes God just doesn't seem to be on time because we want answers, but he is always on time and he always comes through for us. He has never failed me yet. Has he failed you, Cassie?
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
never. But
So I
we
know
have to
you
put.
travel all over. I know Texas. I know you've been to Oklahoma. I'm sure you go to other states. While you've been out there traveling and all these years you've been doing this, what do you think the most difficult thing that you face on the road traveling would be?
Well, I don't
Or the
have a lot of
greatest need?
stamina. The greatest what?
Maybe even the greatest need that you would have in the ministry or that you see while you're out there?
Um, I can tell you just really physically, traveling is difficult physically.
Mm.
And I just made that trip to Kentucky. Gunner, I don't know if you're still here, Gunner, but he was my bodyguard. He and his wife followed me, or I followed them all the way to Kentucky. So it was a 15-hour straight drive.
Oh, wow.
And woo, that was
Lots of
difficult.
coffee. Woo, coffee, coffee.
Lots of yeah, lots of coffee but I don't have a whole lot of stamina because I go so hard every day. I wake up and I mean, my feet hit the floor running, and by the end of the day, I just crash. I'm not one of those that can rest and take naps, and so that's kind of difficult. The traveling is,
Hmm.
but you know what? It's worth it because Jesus says to go and share and preach. And in my case, it's through music. And there are a lot of people out there that we are not going to reach unless we go. So we need to do our best. And when God opens the door and he calls us somewhere, we need to try and walk through that door if at all possible. And yeah, it's expensive. There's a lot of cost involved, hotel and gas and food and all that stuff. But God's never let me down there either.
Right.
He's just good. He's just good.
Yes, he is. Okay, I'm going to ask you. I ask everybody this. What is your most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
Well, I don't really have any big embarrassments. I don't get embarrassed very easily. I just go with the flow because it is what it is. But the only thing I can tell you from years ago, and it's not a big deal, but I was really bad about singing with mints in my mouth. And I've learned not to do that because I was on stage one time and I was singing and my mint projectiled across the stage and hit this
Oh,
person on
no.
the. So
Oh, no.
I'm
It
like,
hit somebody.
oh, I'm so sorry. That's gross. So I don't
I'm
sing with
sorry.
mints in my mouth anymore.
Oh,
How you
that's
live and you
great.
learn, right? But yeah,
One of
but
the probably the second or third time I had spoke, and I know I was being trained, but I can't remember if it was Elizabeth or Grandma Sharon, but some people that I was working with in the ministry walked up to me and goes, "Spit out your gum." I was like, "I'm glad we're
Yeah,
not live video," but they're like, "No, you don't speak with your gum in your mouth." But I probably would have
yeah.
choked or spit it on somebody had they not done that. But that's
Yeah, or if
funny,
somebody walks up to you and says, gum good? Because you're
right?
going,
Right. So where
not a
can
good idea.
say that again? Not a good idea.
I said,
No,
not a good idea. Yeah.
no. Um, who all do you have working in your ministry? Let's give them a shout out. I know that your brother helps you a lot. So
It's my brother and my husband. We're a team.
there you
John, the guy that we interviewed
go.
for the very first What Love Means video, he's a blessing too. I mean, he came to work on the farm and just ended up being part of the family. So
Oh,
he travels with us a lot too. So
that's
yeah, they're
great.
my entourage.
Right, right. I love it. It's fun out there,
Hey,
traveling.
Anita.
There's
Yeah.
Pam.
Hey, Anita. Hey, Pam. Cool. Love seeing y'all here. Thank you.
Where can people
Cassie,
go to say that again?
I was just going to give you a shout out, and I was just going to say that what you're doing is far bigger than what you think it is. And I'm going to get teary eyed over you because I love you so much. And I know that you've been through a lot too. So I want to tell you, thank you, first of all, before I forget, for inviting me on. But I want you to keep doing what you're doing and don't give up and don't stop and don't quit because you're making a difference for the Lord too. And hey, everybody, give Cassie the little hearts on the screen if you agree with me that what she's doing is of the Lord and it's important. So
Got
I
me all
just had to
choked
say
up too. Thanks. I
that.
appreciate it.
Well, yeah.
Um, where can people go to find your music? What's your website? And do you have music on Amazon and CD Baby and all that?
Yeah, it's all there. Yeah, I CD Baby, and then my website is htvministries.com. My website, I'm really proud of it because it's so rich and full, and there is so much to do there, so much to see. It will hook you up with my music. It will hook you up with my videos and my blogs and my events page. Just really everything that you need to know can be found at my website. So that's really the best place to start. Hey, Elizabeth, love you.
Perfect. And if they need to get a hold of your, new single that's out there, they need to get on there and check it out and request that because if your station's not playing it, then, she can get that to you and you can hand deliver it or you can give her the information for your local radio station. So,
Yeah, just go to your favorite Christian radio station and just say, "Hey, have you heard of Heather Van Deren? You need to check her out." And it's because it's not about me. It's about the Lord. And when we have a song that's charting, that's not just good for us. It's good for God because the more people that hear those songs, the more they will get that message because there is a message in the music and there a lot of time there's scripture in the music and that's why we sing is to get it out there to the people, to reach them, to touch their hearts and hopefully even get some saved because he's the only way to heaven. I don't care what anybody tells you, he's the only way.
you
And
know, at doing this and promoting Christian country artists, I've heard it all. And I've heard people say, well, it's not, they shouldn't be caring about if they're charting or, if they're on the radio or whatever. And that's not true because the chart, how I explain it to them, the chart is not about your name, Heather Van Deren. It's not about your name. It's about Jesus's name because those
amen.
charts, when you are up on the charts, it's like having a resume. And
Yeah.
that's what I tell people. I said, your charts and your music on that radio is like your resume to go into a business. That's your resume for open doors into big events that people wouldn't let somebody that they didn't know anything about come and sing. into county fairs where people don't hear about the Lord, and they're walking by the county fair and they get to, they get to hear the music about Jesus. And that's what I tell
Yeah.
people. I said, you do not let anyone tell you that it's not important. I mean, you know your heart, you know when your heart is right and when it's not. And I have personally seen the 49 cents y'all make off a CD baby for a year's worth of music, or, I mean, I know how hard it can be to make money off of Christian music.
Yeah.
You're not making money. The only money that's coming to you is God's taking care of you, because I know I'm on this side of it. I promote, I know what it is,
Yes.
and I know what the need is, and I know what it costs to go down the road. And so I am excited that you have songs charting on the radio and that you have music out there, because that's your resume. God's going to open more and more doors. I mean, for crying out loud, you have someone in the Netherlands listening to you. So
I
how
know, that
awesome
is
is
too
that?
cool.
You don't
It
even have
is
to get on
very
a plane and
awesome.
fly there. You
Yes.
can just be like, hey, I'm in the Netherlands. So,
Well, let me tell you
it's awesome.
something about John Tina from the Netherlands. She and her husband are actually coming to Texas in September, and they're going to come
Oh,
stay with me for a few days. And that's what's so neat about Facebook and Twitter. We're the family of God, and we would not have met a lot of the people, Cassie, you know this to be the truth, without Facebook or Twitter. And, God just brings us together and our hearts are knit because the Holy Spirit connects and speaks to, our spirits speak to one another. And that's how the kingdom of God expands. And, remember that, well, you're probably too young to remember the Fabergé Organics commercial where it says, about the shampoo. Well, we told two friends and they told two friends and so on and so on and so
right.
on. And that's the way it works.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in September, I don't know when your friends are coming, but September 29th, we'll be doing the women's conference at, my mind just went completely blank.
Isn't it Oklahoma?
Brandon Cross.
Oh, how cool is that? That's one of my
So
favorite churches.
if you're
Yeah.
available, come join us, and I'll have you sing a couple of songs for us while you're there. So we'd love to have you. But
Yeah.
I can't believe my mind just went. It's because I have like all these B cowboy churches, Bar None, Brandon Cross, all these are going through
Yeah.
my mind. I was like, it starts with a B. So yeah, but that
And
information's out there.
because you left your coffee in the other room.
Yes, and I've only had 2 cups, so. But I'm so glad you got to join us. Now I'll get this, where it's up on a YouTube and get it to you. Hopefully that'll be done tonight, if not tomorrow. It takes me a little while, but I'll do some editing and get the little intro on it, and you'll have that, and you can put it on your, your website or share or however you want to do it. But I know we'll do this again soon, and hopefully maybe when I come to Texas, we can do it, co-host and do something fun
That
and
would
bring
be
somebody
fun.
else on. So we can do it actually live from your porch.
Woohoo! Yeah,
So, all
that's
right.
right. I'll make
thank
you an
so
iced coffee.
Yum. So love you. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks everybody that watched and all your comments.
Yes.
And we love it.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Love y'all. God bless y'all, and keep doing what you're doing for the Lord too. I'm not talking just to Cassie. I'm talking to
Right.
everybody on here. We've all got an assignment.
Yes. Thank you. God bless you.
Bye-bye. Love y'all.